Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest. And today I've got a marathon of my top 5 matte foundations. Now I've already done a marathon of my top 5 old school matte foundations. These are going to be the top 5 that I reviewed either in 2020 or 2021. So fairly recent foundations, all of which are still available out in the world as of this recording. Marathons are where I take foundation reviews that I have already done, they're already on my channel individually, and I put them all in one bingeable place. I will have timestamps down below so you can skip around if you want to look at a particular one, and it just puts the best of the best all together, easy to find, in one place, and that's the idea behind it. I will jump in here before each of the foundations and give you any updates that I've come upon since having worn them for a little bit of time now. I am wearing the best of the best right now. We will save that for last. We will go from bottom to top. So let's kick this one off with the Danessa Myricks. This is a foundation that scored an 88B plus in my review, and it was a little bit heavy. It was a little bit, I had issues with it breaking up on movement lines, like my smile lines, things like that, and I have been able to have better success by applying it more lightly. And it's got really nice coverage to begin with, so if you're just a little bit careful about the amount of product you're applying, you can have a little bit less of the heavy effect. That said, it's incredibly comfortable and it's a very pretty foundation with excellent coverage. So highly recommend it. It has made my top 5 in 5th place. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage on the Danessa Myricks foundation. Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest, and today I'm going to check out from Danessa Myricks Beauty the Vision Cream Cover Adjustable Foundation and Concealer. I've got sample sizes here that I got directly from the Danessa Myricks website, but this brand is now also carried in Sephora, at least online. And this is a Black-owned beauty brand. If you're not familiar with Danessa Myricks, she is a makeup artist of notoriety. And these sample sizes are $5 each. I've got 3 different shades to swatch for you guys. But the cool thing on Sephora's website is that when you purchase this, it's $22 for 0.34 ounces of product. So it's like the equivalent of like $66 per ounce, but you get it in a smaller size. And I like that for a few reasons. You can buy a few different shades if you wanted to mix and match or use them for different seasons. You can use it up before it expires. You're not committing to $60+ for a foundation. You get a smaller size, or you can try the samples, which are $5 each. So this comes in 23 different shades. Let me read some of the claims. It's vegan, waterproof, natural finish, long wearing, cream formula, full coverage. All right, let's use, that was the listed highlight call outs. It is an innovative foundation concealer hybrid formula designed to give you the ultimate adjustable coverage or create a lightweight base. Natural finish, plant-derived squalane known to balance oil production and offer visibly anti-aging properties. That should probably say visible. Vitamin E, antioxidant known to protect skin from damage. It appears to be kind of a silicone-based type of a product here. You can apply it with fingers, brush, or sponge. They say use a minimal amount and build up as desired in terms of how much coverage you want. So I've got 3 shades of this. All of them are neutral. I've got shade 2.75, shade 3, and shade 4 in the N range. Let's take a look at these swatched against a few others in my collection. Swatch time. The first 3 swatches here are the Danessa Myricks Vision Cream Cover Foundation. First up, these are all neutral. I have 2.75 neutral, followed by 3 neutral, and last is 4 neutral. Then the second foundation, which is the 4th swatch, is Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone, followed by MAC Studio Sculpt in NW15. 4th foundation is the Flower Beauty Get Real Serum Foundation in shade L2 Ivory. And last up, I've got what is it? The Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream in shade 21. I already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 46-year-old face. I have primed with the Strivectin Line Blur Effector. Gotta give some love to the old favorites every so often. I will go in on one side of my face with a dampened sponge. This is one of the microfiber sponges from AOA Studio on shopmissa.com. Other side, I will use a brush. This is a kabuki from IT Cosmetics. We will see if I have a preference one way or the other. This does have a bit of a scent to it, kind of perfumey. I am noticing it fairly strongly. I went with the shade Neutral 3 because 2.75 looked a little more to the yellow side, and shade 4 looked to be a bit too dark for me for winter time. And I think this shade still might be a little bit too dark. It is blending out just fine in terms of ease of blending with the sponge. It is clinging a bit to some flaking skin on my upper lip that I've got. I'm not a huge fan of how it's sitting on my nose. It's kind of just a little bit cakey on my nose, but I think the coverage is excellent right off the bat in terms of just evening out everything, and I can barely see my sunspots. So I mean, we're solid medium with a sponge in one coat right there. Let's try the brush side. I mixed in a tiny bit of the shade 2.75, which really isn't too much lighter. It's just a little bit more pale yellow than neutral, and I think this blends out fine with the brush. It does cling to dry skin, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with it just sort of sitting on top of the skin along this side of my face and not wanting to look smooth. It's just like that little bit cakey looking. It just doesn't want to smooth out like this whole area here. Yeah, let's zoom in and take a look at what's going on here. So around my mouth, I would say it looks nice, except for where it's clinging to flaking skin that I've got going on. It's not doing my pores any favors, which I am wearing a line blur effector, which usually blurs my lines pretty well, so it's not giving me trouble on my smile lines, but all of my pores just kind of look like it's not settling into them. It's just that I can still see them all. It is doing a nice job at blurring texture on the more textured side of my face. It's settling just a little bit into my deepest chin line. My nose, I think it's the same problem that's happening on my cheek, where it's just sort of, the product's bunched up a little bit and it's not smoothing out. It's just kind of clinging oddly to certain parts of my skin. It's doing that a little bit under my eye on the nose ring side of my face as well. It's clinging a little bit to the texture in between my eyebrows. My forehead looks nice, but I feel like it's also not quite perfectly even coverage, in the sense that I just see little bits of foundation that are darker than the other spots, but there's nothing to blend out. Like, it's blended out, it's just not quite even. And that might be that the shade is just a little bit too dark for me, I think. But it does look like a matte finish. I feel like it's not a flat matte. You still get a little bit of luminosity where, like, you can see the light hitting my face. But it just looks like makeup on top of the skin in a bunch of places. So we will see how this turns out. Sometimes product warms up, kind of melts into the skin, and we'll have a beautiful day. So I'm going to put the rest of my face on. It is 3:48 p.m. I am getting a little bit of a late start today, but let me put on the rest of my face and I will be right back. Back with the Vision Cream cover. I did not have to set this with powder, which always excites me because I have a tendency to dehydrate throughout the day in terms of my skin, and powder can sometimes exacerbate that, and I'm just glad when I don't have to. Everything else blended out just fine on top of it with no powder setting. This is just one that I feel looks a little bit heavy. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels wonderfully light. It feels Like, I got a ton of coverage with just one pass, but it looks a little heavy in places, and I think it's just the way it's kind of in certain spots bunched up and not smoothed out, if that makes any sense. So, but everything blended just fine. So on the rest of my face, I've got the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer, the Clarins Jolie Blush in Cheeky Baby. My highlight is Wet n Wild Blossom Glow. This did have a little bit of trouble blending with concealer. So I'm wearing the Wet n Wild Incognito concealer, and I had to do a bit of work tapping it out and trying to get the two to play nice together. I think they ended up just fine, but it was a little tricky. Also, I purchased the Danessa Myricks, what is the name of this? The Dew Mist. It is a highlighting facial balm, and it's for that glass skin kind of a look. I think this is meant to be used when you're not going to wear any foundation, because I went to apply it. They say you can use your fingertips or a brush to dab it on, and I went to dab it on and it destroyed the foundation underneath it. So I had to wipe it off and put more foundation on that part of my cheek. So it's a beautiful finish to it. Like, it feels wonderful. In, you know, it's just a nice it's like a balm, a nice emollient highlight balm, but I don't think it works with foundation, or maybe I should have applied it before foundation, but then you're going to cover it up. So I had trouble with it. So I think the product itself is lovely. I just don't think it's meant for use the way that I'm trying to use it. I feel like there's a cat hair on my face somewhere, which is the story of my life. And so that's where we're at with the face. I've got the rest of my eyeballs. On my eyes, I've got the Alter Ego Canyon palette. I am wearing the CoverGirl Lash Blast Clean mascara. My lip is, what did I put on my lips? ColourPop Luxe Lip Oil in Truth Bomb, just a nude kind of a thing. I like these. They have a nice sheer wash of color, but they feel a little bit more like a gloss than an oil, but they hydrate the way an oil does, which I very much enjoy because my lips get dry too. I think that's everything. I'm gonna do a daylight check-in pretty soon because it's super gloomy here today, and it's been like the lightness level of dusk literally all day. And since we're starting out late afternoon, I'm looking out my window over here, I'll probably do that shortly. So I will do a daylight check-in in a little bit, then I will come back tonight, give you guys my final thoughts. Can you guys see the deer? Hey, buddy. So handsome. Thus concludes nature time in Shelly's backyard. Trying to see if I can see them behind me. Where did they go? It's too far away, I can't tell. Okay, here we are. It has not been very long, but color match this one is a bit too dark on me. There's my fingers, my hand, chest. So, aside from the shade match, I would describe this as, you know what it feels like? Soft velvet. It is super comfortable. The feeling on the skin is just really phenomenal. The bummer of it is that this kind of a finish, see how you can see all my micro wrinkles of my forehead? The birds are like, dude, you refilled our food, but then you're blocking it. Okay, fine. I'll move back, birds. I'll move back. Go ahead. I'm not going to bother you. This is my life. This is my wildlife world. These are all my friends now. I don't leave the house anymore. These are my friends now. So, it's the chickadees. You hear them? So I just feel like this finish in general, not just this foundation, but whenever I have this kind of a finish, it's just, it kind of accentuates the dehydrated nature of my skin, which is just a certain look. Like you can just see, and at a distance it's fine. You know, I don't think you see it really at a distance, but up close, it's not, I don't like it so much. I don't like that look, that finish so much on me. Although this is super comfortable, that's where we're at. We're only a couple hours in, but it's gonna be dark here soon, so yeah. Wow, now the tufted titmice are yelling at me. So I better wrap this up before the birds turn into a Hitchcock movie. I will be back tonight, and we'll see how this ends up. 10:53 p.m. That puts us right around the 7-hour mark. Let's take a look at how the Danessa Myricks Vision Cream Cover Foundation held up. Let's talk just the generic comfort level. It's a very comfortable foundation. I do think that it warmed up a bit to the skin, and it is a bit more luminous than it started out, and I think that really actually does it some favors, at least on my kind of skin, because, you know, I know a lot of people think that a dewy finish accentuates fine lines, but I find on me, at least my micro wrinkles don't look as crepey when I have a more of a dewy finish going on. So to me, it kind of plumps them up, and it makes my micro wrinkles less obvious. So I think that the fact that it did seem to get a little bit more dewy over time helps it in my case. It's comfortable. It is settling a little bit into my deeper lines, and on movement lines like my smile lines, it's kind of breaking apart a little bit, and it's a little early for that kind of stuff to be happening. But for the most part, I think it stays put really nicely. Like I think this still has a few hours left in it. Let's zoom in and take a look. Around my nose, and I know you're going to be shocked, but I have not had to blow my nose today. It is a miracle. But I am missing coverage off of the area around my nostrils, so I don't know why, because I didn't really touch my nose. You can still see the areas on my nose where the product is just a little bit bunched up, and it kind of started out that way, so that really hasn't changed. I've lost a little bit of coverage around my mouth and on my chin, but blush bronzer highlight is still pretty perfectly intact. Nothing seems to have changed there. It's a little heavy in between my eyebrows, but my forehead looks fine, and I think, like I said, I think it looks a little bit better because the finish isn't quite as dry. The dry isn't even the right word, but that sort of like velvet matte finish is what tends to accentuate my micro lines, and I think it looks a little bit better now that it doesn't quite look like that finish. It still feels like that. It's just a really comfortable feeling texture of foundation. It feels really nice, both like feeling it, like touching it, and just the overall feeling on the skin of wearing it. So I think comfort level is very good. I don't feel like my skin is dried out or any more dehydrated than it was when I started the day, so the comfort level and the drying factor, totally fine, I think, for dry skin. For mature skin, I think it's all right, because I think it's not really accentuating texture. By this end of the day, we're getting a little bit of accentuation of movement lines. That's not unusual. It's more product wear than a mature skin issue, because everybody's got movement lines, smile lines, even if you're not dealing with maturing skin. So I think you're okay in that category as well. If I had to give a grade to the Danessa Myricks Vision Cream Cover, I am going to go with a high B+. I really like it. I think finish-wise, it's not going to be my cup of tea with my micro wrinkles all the time, but I do feel like it's a good long-wearing foundation. It held up really well over time for the most part, and I think it has a place. Like, it has a place in my arsenal of things that I will choose to wear, and it's super comfortable. So if you like this level of coverage in a really quick one pass kind of a way, I think it's really good. It's got a place in that niche. I like it. I like it. It's all right. I like it. I like it. He likes it. Hey, Mikey. There you go. Another episode of Foundation Fest is in the books. If you like foundation reviews, if you had fun with this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Let me know in the comments what foundations you would like to see next. I keep a running list. I buy them whenever I can. In fact, I ordered 5 more foundations today. More are coming. There's a lot of them coming out right now. It's that time of year. The most wonderful time of the year. I can't sing. Why am I doing this? All right. End of the day. Time for bed. I'm going to go wash this off. And I am going to go listen to Matthew McConaughey's book on Audible and just swoon. All right, all right, all right. Thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye. In 4th place, we have from IT Cosmetics, Your Skin But Better. This actually was, it seemed like it was advertised as not necessarily a matte finish, but I found that it wears pretty much like a matte on me. It's less luminous than they had described. This one came in at an 89 B+, and it is a very nice foundation in terms of being lightweight, comfortable, does a little bit of blurring and smoothing. The coverage is a little bit less than some of these other options, but if you want a lighter coverage, it's a very pretty finish. And of course, IT Cosmetics always has a boatload of good ingredients in their products, and so it kind of doubles as a skincare cosmetic, if you will. So let's get into the review of the IT Cosmetics YSBB, Your Skin But Better. Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest, and today I'm going to check out the new release from IT Cosmetics, the Your Skin But Better Foundation Plus Skincare. Retails for $39.50 for 1 fluid ounce of product. They say it's your foundation for better skin. IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Foundation is your lightweight, hydrating foundation with a natural, radiant finish that gives beautiful looking skin even on the days when you don't wear it. Buildable, medium coverage, minimizes the look of pores and imperfections while delivering all-day hydration and wear with a natural, radiant finish. It is suitable for all skin types, infused with hyaluronic acid, aloe vera extract, vitamins E and B5. Skin-loving, lightweight foundation goes beyond a tinted moisturizer by working behind the scenes as you wear it. After just 2 weeks, skin looks smoother, skin tone appears more even, and skin texture is visibly refined. It's truly your foundation for better skin, even when you're not wearing it. So this comes in 40 different shades. I got this in the lightest of the light category, so light cool 20, because the darker fair shades looked to be more yellow leaning, and that tends to be my problem with IT Cosmetics shades on me. They all seem to wear really warm and yellow, so I went with what I would call my summer shade. We will see how this one goes. This is getting crazy good reviews. It's getting 4.7 out of 5 stars on Ulta's website with almost 400 reviews, so high expectations, y'all. Let's take a look at this Light Cool 20 swatched against a few others in my collection. Well, hello, widest swatches on the face of the planet. Let's take a look at today's foundation. First up is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Foundation in shade Light Cool 20. Second is the original CC Plus from IT Cosmetics. It is in shade Fair, which runs a bit too yellow for me. Third up from IT Cosmetics as well, the Bye Bye Foundation in shade Light, which runs way too dark for me. Fourth is Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. And last, I've got CYO Life Proof in shade 101. I already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 45-year-old face. I have primed with the CoverGirl True Blend Base Business Skin Smoothing Primer. This whole line of primers is awesome on me. I love it. I went skin smoothing today because I'm pretty well hydrated. I do have a little bit of peeling going on. I did an acid treatment the other day. I have generally dry skin, but this time of year it's pretty close to normal, and I'm feeling pretty close to normal right now. I do have larger pores on my cheeks, some texture issues, especially on the sun damaged side of my face from not wearing sunscreen while commuting to work driving for 10 years. So wear your sunscreen, everybody. I don't think this one has SPF in it, actually. So make sure you've put your sunscreen on before you apply this. We will go in on one side with a dampened sponge. I have no idea what this sponge is. It is brand new. It expanded quite nicely. I don't remember what it is, but I'm a cheap sponge connoisseur, so I'm sure it was cheap. And on the other side, we will use this It Cosmetics brush. No, it is not dirty. I don't think they make this one anymore, but it has like skincare infused into the bristles, and that's why it looks like orange on the top. The numbers have all worn away from the handle, so I don't know what number this is, but it is a nice foundation brush. We'll see if this works better one way or the other. This is a pretty thin formula. A decent amount is soaking into the sponge, but it is blending out easily. I am seeing it cling to the edges of some of the peeling skin on my nose, but this shade is lighter than I anticipated. I would say this might even be my winter shade, so that's good news, at least for the fair end of the spectrum. The shades do look like they go pretty deep as well. It's not as radiant as I expected from the description, but we'll see as it sort of sets down where we end up. Let's try the brush side. This blends out just as easily with the brush. I think the coverage looks about the same either way. It is still clinging to the edges of dry skin on my upper lip and my nose with the brush too, so that really doesn't seem to make a difference. And coverage-wise, I think they're about the same side to side, so your preference if you like a brush or a sponge. I think this also feels like a formula that would probably be able to be applied with fingertips just fine, because it does seem to sort of balance out. I'm going to try just to cover my blood vessel here and my darker sunspots over here. What the heck, I'm just going to tap it out with my fingers because we might as well. This does apply lighter, and then it darkens just a little bit as it sets down, which is good because I think it's a little too light for me straight away. It's not oxidation, it just has a dry down. I wouldn't quite call this medium coverage. I would say we're at a solid light coverage. Maybe like super light medium. I mean, I can still see sunspots coming through. I still see my blood vessel passing through my face here. This little new sunspot, thanks, great. I'm so glad you decided to join me at this phase of my life. Right here. Let's zoom in and take a look at this one up close. So I would not call this a radiant finish. I would actually call this a demi-matte. Like, I don't feel like there's any reflectivity to it at all. The area around my chin and mouth, I do have some flaking skin or peeling skin on my upper lip, and that is all accentuated. It's not settling into the lines around my mouth at this point. My chin's lacking some coverage. I think it's pretty light coverage there. My nose is kind of a hot mess. You know, there's a little bit of polka dot pores going on, and it's clinging to the edges of peeling skin on my nose. My cheeks look good. They actually look quite nicely smoothed. I think this is minimizing pores quite a bit, and it is minimizing texture quite a bit, so that is really nice. My forehead looks fine. It is clinging to the dry skin and texture between my eyebrows, but the areas of my face that are pretty cooperative skin, it's looking nice and improving the look of those areas. If you've got peeling skin, It's doing what most foundations do on peeling skin and just highlighting the crinkly edges of that skin that needs to finish exfoliating away. So yeah, I would call this light coverage and I would call it demi-matte. I would not call this radiant. Unless while I'm putting the rest of my makeup on it decides to glow up, we'll see. But let's find out what time it is. 1:29 p.m. Let me put the rest of my face on. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are with the It Cosmetics. My nose looks a little bit like alligator skin, but other than that, I think it is holding up well. I did end up setting it lightly with the Charlotte Tilbury. I'm using the Airbrush Flawless Bronzer as setting powder, and then that's in the fair shade number 1, and then number 2 I use as bronzer, and it works quite well. This shade is a bit light, I feel, which is, like I said, good. I'm glad that the fair end of the spectrum has a good amount of attention. It appears that the deep end of the spectrum does as well in this 40 shade range, so that is good. I still think that on my less troublesome skin, it looks beautiful. So get this, my 10x mirror out of the way because the light comes on and off randomly. So yeah, that is where we are starting out. It feels very lightweight. It feels comfortable. On the rest of my face, I have the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in Always Punchy. My highlight is Natasha Denona in not shade Fair, but the second shade, although mine is broken, so I don't know how long it's gonna last. I might try to fix it with some alcohol, but it is a very pretty shade, just as smooth and glorious as the original. My eyes, I finally dipped in to the new Wayne Goss eyeshadow palette. You know, it's not as bold as I enjoy. This is a very normal, conservative looking, everyday work kind of a color scheme. I'm happy to report that if you don't use as much of the red shade in the palette, it actually pulls closer to a neutral, slightly warm instead of being full on warm toned, and that's makes it a lot more versatile, I think. I also completely agree with Wayne's statement that the black in this palette is just phenomenal. It's probably the best black I've ever used. If you use it with a dense brush, you can get it to layer on like a dense black. If you use it with a blending brush, it actually turns into a mixer. Like you can use it to modify the other shades in the palette. It doesn't just pull gray. It's a fantastic black shadow. Bravo, bravo. The glitter topper is also gorgeous. It's the tiniest, most finely grained sparkles, no fallout. Love it. Love it. Hope he puts out a cool tone palette. But I love the formula. Lips are the Wayne Goss Chrysanthemum lip gloss, and I think that's just about everything. Oh, my mascara is the Pat McGrath Dark Star, and this is one coat. It's lovely. Lovely. I will be back in a bit with a daylight check-in, and then I will come back tonight. We'll see how this one wore. It is a gloomy day out here, you guys. Here is the It Cosmetics foundation. I actually haven't gotten a look at it. I think texture still looks pretty good. Coverage is still pretty light on my chin. My nose is still kind of a hot mess. Just don't look too close. Don't look at it too closely, and it's okay. It's a pretty fair shade, you know. Part where I have no bronzer, I think is a probably my winter shade. So that's where we're at. This is about 5:30 right now, so it's been about 4 hours, and I'll be back tonight and we can take a final look. 11:15 p.m. That means we are approaching the 10-hour mark. Let's take a look at how the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better foundation held up. First of all, I was thinking about this today. Is anyone else getting like super serious By Terry vibes from this packaging? Like, they look like they could be cousins. Anyway. So, where are we at? Okay. Comfortable, super lightweight. 10-hour mark. it's held up pretty well. Let's do a zoom in and find the trouble spots. Around my mouth and chin, a lot of product has worn away, just sort of disappeared. It is bunching up along the edges of any of the dry skin I have that needs to be exfoliated. My nose looks about the same as it did when we started out. It has lost a little bit of coverage, but pretty much every place else looks as it did. I do think blush, bronzer, highlight have faded just a little, but they're still very well intact. I still think it is doing a wonderful job at smoothing. My skin, even on the textured side, does look quite smooth. It's not gathering into anything but the deepest of my chin lines. It's not in my smile lines, my forehead lines. It's not caking into my crow's feet that show up when my skin gets dehydrated. And the fact that my crow's feet really aren't showing up, I think also says that it really isn't dehydrating or drying on the skin. I think my skin feels just as nice hydration-wise as it did when we started out today. So overall, pretty good. Not much has changed since we started. It had some issues when we started, so, you know, it hasn't degraded poorly. I think it has degraded fairly gracefully. So, if I had to give a grade to the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better foundation, I think you're perfectly fine on dry skin. Asterisk, if your skin is peeling or flaking, it's going to be accentuated. As far as maturing skin, I think it's pretty nice. It's definitely doing the smoothing of texture. It's doing some blurring of pores. It looks really pretty nice on the skin. It has a lot of shades. 40 shades is a very nice range. I'm happy with the range. I'm happy with where I fall in the spectrum because it's going to address more fair shades than I am. The fact that the finish is a bit different than they describe, I wouldn't call this radiant at all. I don't think there's any part of this that comes off as dewy or glowy or radiant. I think it is just a demi-matte, maybe a satin matte, but not even quite satin, I would say. I'd put it as like a demi-matte finish, a very pretty finish. It just wasn't what I was expecting based on the description. If I had to give a grade to the Cosmetics Your Skin But Better foundation, I'm going to go B+, a high B+, but a B+, mainly because it's just really common for maturing skin to have issues with flaking or peeling, and that's just, if you're gonna be an A in my book, you really gotta take everything I throw at you. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I do like it. I definitely will continue to wear it. It's definitely comfortable. It's held up reasonably well. I would love it to get to the 14 hour mark, which is more like my typical wear day, but it's pretty good. It is pretty good. It's, if it would handle my peeling, it would be right up there with some favorites. Otherwise, pretty good. It's pretty doggone good. There you have it, another episode of Foundation Fest is in the books. If you enjoy foundation reviews, if you like this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Go out onto geekoutofwater.com, click the Foundation Fest link. I've got a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet of all of my 200 plus foundation reviews, of which you'll find this one on there. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye. In third place, we break into the A range with one of my favorite brands. I love Clarins. Their complexion products work really well for me. I've, this past year, started getting into some of their makeup, and it works really well for me. Their Jolie blush is one of my favorite blushes of all time. I'm digging Clarins. I'm a fan, and this is not the only product of theirs in terms of foundations that I love, but it's the one that has the matte finish. So it is the Everlasting Foundation. It scored a 90% A-. I do enjoy the skincare benefits of Clarins products. I feel like they're gentle on my skin. And this particular foundation wears very nicely. You get a little bit of skincare in it. If you have dry skin, you're going to enjoy the fact that it's not going to dry you out, which becomes a problem with some matte foundations, none of them on this list, but sometimes that is a problem for dry skin. And I don't really have any recommendations for changing how I applied it in the video. It wears really well. It's got a decent wear time, and you know me, decent wear time means double digits for me. I need to be able to wear my products for more than 10 hours, preferably more than 12, because I don't do a lot of maintenance on my face. I put the face on, and sometimes I don't touch it for 14 hours. Like that's how I wear my makeup. So I need it to stay put, and I need it to be good. Staying put, almost forgot. One thing that's great about the Clarins foundation is that under masks, under sunglasses, it stays put really nicely. There's not zero transfer, but it is highly transfer resistant. It is really good. I mean, when you can wear sunglasses and take them off and you don't have bare spots on your nose, that's pretty good to me. So bravo to the Clarins, coming in third place. Let's check it out. Hello world, Shelly here, and I've decided we are just going to call these things Foundation Fest from now on. Sometimes we'll have 5 days in a row, sometimes it'll just be on Fridays. That's the way it'll roll. Just much easier to say because nobody knows what foundation fix means. They think I'm trying to fix foundation, and I'm not. I was really referring to drug use and getting your fix. So that's kind of ridiculous too. So we're just going to call this all Foundation Fest. Today's episode of Foundation Fest is going to be taking a look at the Clarins. Oh, why you gotta do me so wrong with these names? Tint Haute Tenue? I don't know. Yeah, it's called Everlasting Foundation Plus. We're going to go with that version of the name. This retails for $44 for 1.1 ounce of product. That's about $40 per ounce. And it comes in 10 different shades on Clarins' website. I am on Macy's website where I ordered this, and they stock 5 of the 10 shades. This is described as a lightweight fluid foundation that delivers 18 hours of full matte coverage that conceals dark spots, redness, freckles, blemishes, and imperfections for a flawless skin all day long. Clarins combines its exclusive high-fidelity System Plus with mattifying bamboo powder for a fresh matte finish and exceptionally long wear even in the face of heat and humidity. Organic quinoa extract promotes skin suppleness and boosts the moisturizing power of Clarins' exclusive Plant Micro Patch for non-stop comfort. Defends skin from the elements with Clarins' exclusive anti-pollution complex and anti-free radical ingredients. Now, that really sounds a bit terrifying for dry skin. However, Clarins promotes this as the best foundation for all skin types. We're going to test that out today because I've got a nice challenging dry skin dehydrated face to put on here. They recommend application with fingers or a brush. We'll see. This one's getting 4.4 out of 5 stars with 107 reviews on Macy's website. I've got this in shade 103 Ivory, which is the lightest that Macy's carries, though there are lighter shades on Clarins' website. Let's take a look at this one, swatched against a few others in my collection. You know what time it is. On Fridays we swatch. First up is today's foundation, the Clarins Everlasting Foundation Plus in shade 103. Second is also from Clarins. This is the Skin Illusion in shade 103. Good to see that they maintain consistency from one line to the next in the same shade. Third up, I've got the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Looks to be just a little bit more peachy cool than the Clarins, which is a little bit more neutral. Fourth, I've got the MAC Mineralize in shade NW13. And last up, I've got the YSL All Hours Foundation in shade BR10. I already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 45-year-old face. I've got some sun damage, larger pores, fine lines, wrinkles, dryness. I've got some peeling going on in between my eyebrows and the upper bridge of my nose here. I've been working on some exfoliation techniques, and they're exfoliating, so it's going to be a challenging day for foundation. We'll see if Clarins is up to it. I have already primed with the Good Molecule silicone-free priming moisturizer. I also went in with an extra dose of moisturizer after all my skincare, and we've got some of the Caudalie Venosource moisturizing sorbet going on here because that whole bamboo extract thing kind of scared me. This whole matte finish. I've been a dewy girl all year long. Like, this has been a love affair of a good year or so that I've been preferring the dewy look. So let's find out. The packaging is beautiful, which is pretty typical of Clarins. We have a frosted glass bottle. We do have a pump. I will start out on one side of my face with a dampened Eco Tools Total Perfecting Blender Sponge. I will use an IT Cosmetics brush on the other side. This seems to be the kind of foundation that likes to be attracted to my hairline. That tends to drive me crazy, but it could just be today. We will see how that goes. The product itself blends out pretty smoothly for a matte foundation. It is clinging just a little bit to the edges of that peeling skin between my eyebrows. I'd say we're pretty light coverage to start out. I have a little redness on this little milious spot that's about to exfoliate away, and I've got some redness on my nose and my chin, and I feel like that is still pretty well visible. It's slightly decreased, but still redness coming through. Let's see how the brush side does. I think this blends out much more nicely with the brush. Coverage is about the same, but I'm not having any trouble along my hairline, so I feel like it's the dampness of the sponge that was kind of causing the foundation to misbehave on the sponge side. So I am going to say their instructions regarding fingertip or brush are probably accurate. Now, this is clinging to any peely skin that I've got. I decided to experiment and see if my skin was ready to handle tretinoin and glycolic acid at the same time, and it is not. So I'm peeling, and I don't mind testing products when my skin is imperfect because most days my skin is imperfect. It's usually giving me some kind of hassle one way or the other. Up close, you definitely can see where this product is clinging. It's pretty light coverage. I do think it's evening out some redness, and the finish is not super matte. It's not a dry, flat matte. I do feel like I still have just a bit of, skin luminosity coming through. I only have a tiny bit of product left here. I think I'm going to do just the smidgen, tiniest bit, and try to take with my fingertips and a little bit combination of sort of adding coverage in the spots where I need it and hoping to kind of smooth over some of these dry patches. Okay, I feel like that did help a bit. It's kind of like the spackle approach. You kind of spackle your dry skin back onto your face, but this is such a lightweight formula that it really did take some of those peelies and kind of mesh them back in so that they don't look so obvious to the skin. I think we're at a light medium coverage at best. I do still see some sunspots poking through. That little bit of product did build up pretty well to minimize redness. I feel like taking a look up close, nothing's really being accentuated aside from the peeling skin that I've got. My wrinkles are not being accentuated. This did a very nice job of smoothing pores. Texture even looks a bit smoothed. So that's a nice thing for a matte foundation. Sometimes matte foundations can tend to accentuate those things on me. They seem to be doing a pretty good job smoothing here right now. I think this doesn't look dry, but I think because it's accentuating some of my dry skin, you can just tell that my skin is dry. But considering how bad the flaking is between my eyebrows and the fact that I think you can probably only see it up close. I don't know. Can you see it at a distance? Can you tell? I think it's doing a pretty decent job considering the challenging state of my face right now. I actually love how this looks on camera right now. I'm very curious to put the rest of my makeup on. Up close, a little challenging, but I'm giving it a challenging face today. At a distance, I think it's looking really nice. Let me put the rest of my face on. Let me get this cap on Oh, I can't remember which way the cap went. Was that the right way? I don't remember, but it's very pretty. Let me get the rest of my face on. What time is it? We need a check-in time. The check-in time is 1:36. Let's call it 1:30 so that I remember. I'll be right back. So far, so good with the Clarins Everlasting Foundation Plus. I think this is a very pretty matte finish. It is not flat. It still has like the dimension of luminosity. So I have no highlight on my forehead and you can still see some dimension coming through. So I really like that kind of a matte finish. I did not have to set this with powder, which is good when you have dry skin. So everything blended perfectly well on top of it, no issues whatsoever. You know, it's still showing a little clinging to my peeling skin. That is to be expected. On the rest of my face, I've got the Natasha Denona Super Glow Highlight, the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in Always Rosy, my Makeup Revolution Ultra Bronze. My eyes, tried out for the first time. I've never tried Pixie eyeshadows before. This is the Pixie by Petra. What is the name of this one? Natural Beauty, the Eye Reflection Shadow Palette. And the color scheme is what drew me in to this one. It's that neutrals leaning cool with like a little touch of pink in there. It's okay. I'm kind of disappointed in the pigmentation of all of the shadows. I tried basically all but 2 of them, and they just take a lot of building up to get to a point where you have some payoff. And it just didn't... They don't wow me. I think that probably has to do with my own personal preference of a more intense pigment, but they did blend out fairly nicely. You know, I think they have a little bit of a tendency to go muddy when you're layering different shades, like from transition to crease. But overall, if you like this color scheme, or if you're going for a more lighter wash of color and you don't want to build them up as much as I do, you may be very happy with this palette. I would say overall it's okay. Slightly disappointed in the pigmentation, but the color scheme, right up my alley. I love me cool tone neutrals, and if you're going to throw some color in there, let it be a little bit of pink. Happiness there. For my lip, I am trying for the first time the CoverGirl. This is a new release from them, the 24-hour matte. What is the name of this? You know what I'm going to have to get out. I found my magnifying glass. That just says made in England. Okay, that's not going to help me. What is the line called? I don't know. The shade is 670 High Roller. And, you know, the shade's really pretty. But there's a very chemically taste and smell that I can still smell and sort of taste. And it's been probably 8-9 minutes since I applied it. Feels very comfortable. Super, super lightweight. Very easy. I'm wearing no lip liner. It stayed in place. It's not feathering. But it's a very chemically sort of smell to it. So even though I bought 3 shades of them, I'm probably not going to reach for them very often. We'll see. I'll give them a couple more tries. I will be back in a bit with a daylight check-in on this one from Clarins, and I'll come back at the end of the night, give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, it is a beautiful day today. Here we are. We're about 3 hours in right now, and color match looks pretty doggone good, I think. I really like the finish of this for a matte foundation. It's a very, very pretty finish. I've been wearing sunglasses, not too much missing there. I do feel a little bit dry, and I can kind of see it going on. But, so it seems like it might be a little bit drying. Sorry for the traffic noise going on here. I'm outside doing some errands, but so far so good. Generally speaking, I think it looks really nice. It's very comfortable, super lightweight. I have a feeling it might be a little bit drying. Here is the CoverGirl, that lipstick that I started out with, after both eating a meal and attempting to wipe it off with my napkin. So it stuck around pretty well. Too bad I want it to go away now. So there you have it. We're about 3 hours in, and I'll be back tonight with my final thoughts. 11:49 p.m. That puts us... We are pushing the 10.5 hour mark. Let's take a look at how the Clarins Everlasting Foundation Plus has held up. We'll talk comfort levels. This is super lightweight, really feels like nothing. I think it stayed in place really well considering it was not set with powder. let's talk about this finish. I have a bit more luminosity or glow than I expected for what is called a matte foundation. I'm talking specifically like my chin and my forehead, which I do not have any highlighter on. Of course, on my cheeks I have highlighter, but everywhere else I do not. So for me, I enjoy this. I like a dewy finish, not a super sweaty look. And this doesn't look greasy or anything like that. And it doesn't feel greasy. I don't feel like there's any difference. There's nothing coming off on my fingers. It's not like that. I personally enjoy it. But if you're expecting a matte finish, I don't think it stays matte. And I'm a person that does not really produce a lot of oil, if any at all. So this was an unexpected end of evening look for me. I don't mind it. If you wanted a matte look all day, this might not be for you. But in terms of the drying factor, I think it's probably a tiny bit drying. If you dehydrate easily, the way I can usually tell is that I will start to get drag lines along over here, and you'll start to see my crow's feet where normally you can't see them if my skin is like properly plumped and hydrated. So a little bit of that is starting to come out. It does feel just a tiny bit dry, not uncomfortable. I don't feel like I need to go run wash my face. That's why, I've waited till past the 10-hour mark till I'm ready to go to bed to film this check-in, because it's a comfortable foundation to wear. I have no trouble wearing it. It just might be a little tiny bit drying. We are getting into the dead of winter in this area, so that is probably complicating matters. I do like how the finish ended up. Now, conversational distance, I would say this is degrading gracefully. Let's take a look up close. What's going on up close is kind of the usual where foundation sort of gathers up and sort of starts to get like gunky cakey in certain areas, and it's not settling into my fine lines. It has settled into my deepest chin line, but my smile lines look fine. My forehead lines look fine. No product has gathered in there, but it's gathered a little bit around my nostrils, and it is caking up a little bit on my nose. It's still clinging to the flaky skin that I have between my eyebrows, and like I said, a little bit of accentuation of dry, like dehydrated look around my crow's feet and my forehead. Overall, really not bad at all. Considering the condition my skin is in this day as I'm doing this test, I really think this has handled things quite well. This is about average wear. I would say when I expect average wear, I expect at least 10 hours where I would not be embarrassed to be seen in public if I was seen in public after this time. So I would say it wears pretty well. It's not your 14, 16, 18-hour wear, at least not in my experience today. But I would say I'm okay with this. Pretty good wear. So if I had to give a grade to the Clarins Everlasting Foundation, did I say it's SPF 15? It's a mineral sunscreen. If I had to give a grade, I'm going to go A-. And I was back and forth in my head between like B+ and A- all day. And what really made me push to the A- is the fact that I don't feel like I'm any more dry than I was at that check-in at the 3 or 4 hour mark. I feel like it kind of had that minimal baseline, whatever moisture it took from my skin, and it was done. It's not getting continually drier and drier and drier. And so that I can deal with this. This is a perfectly fine, acceptable finish for the end of the day for me in terms of how it feels, how it wears, how it looks. I think the color match is beautiful. I wish they did have some more shades. I wish more stores would carry the full line of shades. That seems to be a really annoying trend lately, that places aren't carrying all the shades, and that's kind of bugging me. But I'm gonna go low A- on this one. I think it is very, very pretty. I think the coverage is very nice. My mother in the middle of the day today said, "Wow, your makeup looks beautiful." And when she calls it out, it's usually because it looks better than an average day. So there you have it. We're gonna go A- on the Clarins. I have pretty good luck with their foundations. I'm a Clarins fan. I don't buy a lot of their makeup, but I do enjoy their foundation and skin products. I like their skincare too. Actually, I am a Clarins fan, I suppose. that's the end result on this Foundation Fest episode. Of course, this will be put into my spreadsheet. I have a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet at geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. I have over 180 foundations reviewed at this point. You can search for things. You can scroll through it all. All the data's there. All the links to the original reviews if you want to go get the close-ups and all the goods. All on my website. Go check those out if you need reference material for your next foundation purchase. What do you guys want to see next? Let me know down in the comments below. I still have a bunch more foundations to review, including the new Milani. That will be coming as well. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye. In second place, and definitely one of my favorite finds of the past year, the Lorac Pro Soft Focus. This one is vegan and cruelty-free. The Danessa Myricks is also vegan and cruelty-free. I didn't mention that, but now I did. This Lorac, if you like a good amount of coverage, you can get this up to push in full coverage. And I like coverage. I know a lot of people will say, you don't need it, your skin looks so good. I have issues with being able to see my freckles. I was teased mercilessly as a kid. I don't want to see them. They traumatize me. So yeah, I don't need foundation. I can wear my face without foundation, and I do. A lot, all the time. But I like coverage. I'm a medium to full coverage kind of girl. It's how I like my makeup. I love... Bailey Sarian just posted an Instagram where she had someone do her makeup, and she posted a comment that this makeup artist does her makeup in a way that is not cakey but is still full cake, and that's what I love. I love a full face of makeup. Anyway, I'm so far off the tangent here. Lorac Pro Soft Focus, beautiful, excellent coverage, but you can also wear it lighter coverage if you want to. Just depends how you apply it. Nicely smoothing, fantastic wear time. This one has the best wear time of all of the ones in these top 5. Like, you can get your 12 plus hours easily out of the Lorac. It was my surprise hit of the year, and it's one of my favorites. Check it out. It scored a 92A-, the Lorac Pro Soft Focus. Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest, and today I'm going to check out the new release from Lorac. This is the Pro Soft Focus Longwear Foundation. Retails for $38 for 1 fluid ounce of product. It's currently getting 4.5 out of 5 stars with 12 reviews on Ulta's website because it is a fairly new product. They've got 25 different shades. I've got the second lightest shade, Fair 2, described as fair with neutral undertones. This foundation claims Soft Focus Longwear Foundation is a long-wearing, soft matte foundation with a buildable medium to full coverage, refreshing feel, soft focus finish, longwear performance, silk-like texture, lightweight feel, buildable coverage, spherical powders deliver excellent slip and keep the skin shine-free, water-resistant, suitable for all skin types, dermatologist tested, some key ingredients, vitamin C, sodium hyaluronic acid, to preserve skin's elasticity, watermelon, apple, and lentil fruit extracts to reduce the appearance of fine lines and increase hydration. It is oil-free, fragrance-free, and vegan. Let's check and see if they list any added fragrance in here. It looks like it's a pretty typical silicone-based foundation. I am not seeing any additional fragrance ingredients. That's a good sign. Let's take a look at the shade Fair 2, swatched against a few others in my collection. Hey, let's swatch. First up is today's foundation, the Lorac Pro Soft Focus Longwear Foundation in shade 2 Fair. Second, I've got the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Third up from MAC is Studio Sculpt in shade NW15. Fourth is from Pure, the Love Your Selfie in shade LP2. And last from Anastasia Beverly Hills, I've got the Luminous Foundation in shade 140 Neutral. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 45-year-old face. I like to cover up my sun damage. I have larger pores. I have some texture between my eyebrows, fine lines. That's what we are trying to minimize. I've already primed with the Good Molecules silicone-free priming moisturizer. Love this stuff. And I will go in on one side of my face with a sponge. This is a dampened Juno microfiber sponge. The other side I will use my trusty old Finely Clean e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. We'll see if there is a preference one way or the other. My first thought with this foundation is that as I go to apply it, the foundation says to me, "Oh girl, you want coverage? We got you. We got coverage." Clearly I haven't worn a higher coverage foundation in a while. It is blending out quite easily and looks nice on the skin. It's grabbing a little bit around my nostrils, but we'll see if we can tap that out. Let's try the brush side. This really is a joy to blend out. What was the word they used? Did they describe it as silky in the description? I would totally agree with that. It doesn't feel at all like a dry matte foundation. It feels very silky going on the skin. The one area I'm not too pleased with is how it is sitting on my nose. It just looks heavy and a little polka dot pore-y. I'm going to see if we can... Let's just try to make it all melt together a little bit better. See, it looks nice right now. If it can dry down and stay put like that, that would be nice. I do have a little dry skin around my nostrils, as usual. It's clinging a little bit to that. The coverage on this is fantastic. It's like high medium right off the bat. Even with a sponge, it's got very nice coverage. I have a bunch of product left, and I really don't feel like I need to build this up anywhere. It looks very, very nice. So I think you could do your whole face with a single pump. I did about a pump and a half, pump and 3/4. Let's take a look at this one. The only downside I feel like if you've got peeling skin or dry flaking skin at any point, it is accentuating those areas. The areas of my face that don't have flaking skin look really nice. It's doing a pretty good job at smoothing texture. It's not accentuating texture. It's not accentuating pores. Once I tapped it out on my nose, it looks much better. It does look a little bit like makeup on top of the skin on my nose, but not too bad. It is accentuating my micro wrinkles on my forehead just a little bit, but that tends to be what happens with matte foundations. That's just what they tended to do on me. But overall, I'm okay with this. I think it looks nice. I love the coverage. I think the finish is nice. I'm going to give it a couple minutes and see if it sets down a little bit more because it still feels a little tacky. Don't know if I need to set it with powder, and with mattes, I usually don't want to set them with powder. So we will see what happens there. I'm okay with this. Where's my phone? It's in my pocket. Phone's always in my pocket. It is 11:57. 11:58. Let's call it noon. How about that? Let me put the rest of my face on. I'll be right back. So far, so good with the Lorac foundation. I did end up setting it with the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. I have a sample, but I also bought the full size of it. I love the packaging on this foundation. It's very, very, very pretty. I generally like Lorac packaging. Took very wonderfully to setting with powder. I had no issues whatsoever, no blending problems. Nothing. Everything seems to be going quite well. Not used to seeing matte finish on my face, but I'll get used to it. On the rest of my face, I've got the usual suspects, the Balm Desert Bronzer, my latest usual suspect, the Hourglass Ambient Lighting in Diffused Heat Blush, and the Natasha Denona Super Glow for my highlights. On my eyes, I have one of the new Blitz Astral. Do they say which one it is? They never do. That's the one thing I don't like about Pat McGrath's packaging. That and the fact that it always gets fingerprints on it. This is one of the new Blitz Astrals. That's what is on my eyes, my lips, Natasha Denona, the Gloss Balm in Mauve. No shock there. CoverGirl Uncensored Mascara. Yeah, that's about all we got going on. We're air drying this mop today. And I'll be back in a bit with the daylight check-in. And I'll come back at the end of the night and give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, Daily Chicken here. It has been 5 hours. I just went up to my mom and said, what do you think about this foundation? And she says, ooh, right off the bat, I think I like it. So that was the first impression there. I just got a good look in the mirror. It looks like it's wearing quite well. Really just looks like when I put it on. I have not seen any significant wear. It is comfortable. Shade match looks pretty good. I might have like a smidge of self-tanner left, but I doubt it at this point. So this is probably pretty much my summer shade, which is maybe a half shade darker than my winter shade. Overall, I'm liking it. I don't think it's like a dry, flat matte at all. I do feel like there's some luminosity to my forehead, to my chin, and I don't have highlight there, so I really do like the finish and I really enjoy this level of coverage. So I will be back tonight and we'll see how this one did. It is 1:40 a.m. That puts us just past the 13.5-hour mark, I think. Let's take a look at how the Lorac Pro Soft Focus Long Wear Foundation held up. First off, I wouldn't call this matte. It has gotten more dewy as the day has worn on. In fact, I think it's pretty, like, borderline shiny at this point. And I really don't produce a lot of oil on my skin. It doesn't feel greasy or anything like that, but it's dewy at this point, I would say. I apologize for the glasses. I had a 7.5-hour conference call, and when you're staring at the computer screen for that long, my eyeballs were just ready to fall out of my head. So I had to switch to my glasses, but I will say that means I was staring at my face on the video window for 7.5 hours, and I looked pretty darn good, if I say so myself. Yeah. So I will say I got a very good look up close at my makeup at the 11-hour mark, and it looked really good at that point. So I was very happy about that. Let's take a zoom in and look at how things are right now at 13.5 hours. Somewhere in between there is where I think it had degraded a bit. I do think this is really nice for 13.5 hours. Some coverage has vanished from my chin, but it's just a little bit pink. You know, it's not fully gone. My nose, same thing, a little bit pink, but the product is not fully gone. I'm showing you without my glasses, so you can see the product did wear away where my glasses were, and I wore my glasses for about 3 hours. So, you know, if you are a glasses wearer, this is not transfer proof in terms of glasses, but blush, bronzer, highlight almost look perfect from when I applied them. Same with bronzer. Everything on my forehead still looks fine. I even think my forehead looks better than it did. I think earlier, before the dewiness started coming through, it looked a little bit more of emphasizing micro wrinkles, but I think that actually looks better now that some of the dewiness is coming through. If you're looking for a matte foundation, I'm not sure this is it. If you've got more oily skin than I do, or you've got even normal to combo, I really can't imagine getting to the end of the day and not looking shiny. But if you have dry skin like I do and you don't produce a lot of oil, it really settles into a nice dewy kind of a finish, which I like that, but it's not what I was expecting in a matte formula. In terms of its claims of being long wear, I think it's pretty long wear. I mean, I think conversational distance, I think this still looks pretty doggone good for as long as it's been on. No issues with it settling into lines, no real issues with it separating along lines. The only difference, I think, in the sort of way it applied versus now, I think I can see my pores a little bit more now than when I originally applied it, but it's been a very long day. I've been wearing this all day long. So I really do like the coverage. I like the finish, especially after it got a little bit more dewy. I This is a surprise because the last Lorac foundation I tried, I want to say, was it the Sheer Perfection? Was that the name of it? It was several years ago. I think it was one of the very first reviews I ever did. I'm not even sure I made it. I don't think I put it into my spreadsheet because I didn't have a consistent review format yet when I first started the channel. And that foundation was terrible on me. Did not work at all. And I actually avoided a lot of Lorac base products for that reason, even though I love their eyeshadows. Love their eyeshadows. But I'm a fan of this one. If I had to give a grade to the Lorac Pro Soft Focus Long Wear Foundation, I'm going to go like a solid A- on this one. I like it. I'm looking at myself in the monitor right now. I have a giant monitor now, so my face on the monitor is even bigger than real life. I mean, the only thing I'm not happy about is I can see my pores a little bit more. I like this. I pretty much like this. I'm gonna ding it a little just for the fact that it's not really matte, even though they claim it is matte. Oh, I love the packaging too. Yeah. I like this one. This was a good one. I'm happy. And my mom liked it too. She's usually pretty spot on. When I look ridiculous, she tells me. So there you have it. Another Foundation Fest episode in the books. If you enjoy foundation reviews, if you would like me to do more of them, give me a thumbs up down below. Let me know in the comments what foundations you would like to see next. If you've missed my ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet, I've got all of my... I need to go check what number review we're on. Have we hit 200 yet? I don't know, but when we do, I'm gonna have a giveaway. One of these days, I've got to hit 200. We're close. I know we are. I'll go check. I'll check one of these days, and then I'll let you guys know. Let me know what you want to see next down in the comments below. Go check geekoutofwater.com. Click the Foundation Fest link. I've got a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet of all my foundation reviews except the ones before I had a format. Yeah, as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye. In the number one spot, I reviewed this one fairly recently. This is from CoverGirl. It is the Outlast Extreme Wear. I'm wearing it right now. This is what it looks like, very lightly applied with a sponge. And you can get this high medium coverage, pushing full, right on that edge borderline. But you can also wear it lighter coverage. Like, you can still see a little of my sunspots poking through. This is a single pump, damp sponge applied, minimal coverage attempt, and it is beautiful. It's beautiful finish. It's satin matte. It doesn't get heavily dewy or oily by the end of the day. It stays put. It is just lovely. It's super comfortable. It's lightweight. CoverGirl rocks my world. Like, they're my favorite drugstore brand ever since they went cruelty-free. And it's been a couple of years now. They have just knocked my freaking socks off. Like, there are like one or two things I have not liked in the past couple years that they've put out, and everything else has been phenomenal. So bravo, CoverGirl, I'm so in love with you. And bravo for also being cruelty-free. I don't know if this one is vegan or not. I'm not an expert on vegan ingredients, and I know it's cruelty-free. Don't know if it's vegan, but it's fantastic. Let's check out the full review of the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear. Good stuff. I will let this be the end of our road. The conclusion to that video will be the end of this one. So, as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate your time. I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Let's roll that final review of the CoverGirl Outlast. Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Foundation Fest. And today I'm going to check out from CoverGirl the Outlast Extreme Wear 3-in-1 Foundation. I have two different shades of this, the two lightest shades I believe, 810 Classic Ivory and 820 Creamy Neutral. This retails for $10.49 over at Target. And it comes in 21 different shades. We have SPF 18. It appears to be a chemical sunscreen, octinoxate. And they say, speed up your beauty routine with a long-lasting foundation, primer, and concealer all in one. Whether you dab on a little or a lot, CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear 3-in-1 Full Coverage Liquid Foundation is sure to be your go-to when it comes to providing naturally flawless full coverage finish you crave. Lightweight, cake-free, 24-hour formula, covers imperfections, yada yada yada, defends against the elements, hydrating, breathable, sweat-proof, transfer-proof, humidity-proof, apply with fingertips, brush, or sponge, cruelty-free. Yeah, sounds lovely. I wish I realized it had a primer built in because I already put some primer on, but that's okay. Let's take a look at these two shades swatched against a few others in my collection. Swatch time! First up is today's foundation from CoverGirl, the Outlast Extreme Wear Foundation. The first swatch is in shade 810 Classic Ivory. Second swatch is also the CoverGirl Extreme Wear in shade 820 Creamy Natural. Third up is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Fourth, I've got from Wet n Wild the Photo Focus Dewy in Shell Ivory. And last, I've got from Misha the Perfect Cover BB Cream in shade 21. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 46-year-old face. On one side, I will go in with a damp sponge. The other, I've got an IT Cosmetics brush. It's not dirty. It just supposedly has skincare built into the ends of the bristles. Whatevs. I think it's pretty gimmicky, and I don't think they make this brush anymore. But we'll see if this goes better one way or the other. This has some really nice coverage right away. I'd say we are at a light medium coverage, just quick pass with the sponge. It is blending out easily, clinging just a little bit to some dry, flaky skin I have on my nose and a little tiny bit above my lip, but it is blending out nicely, and that was like really quick and easy to get some nice looking coverage. Let's try the brush side. I feel like this blends out faster with the brush, and I think I like the finish just a little bit more. It seems to cling a little bit less to my dry skin on the brush side. I am getting a little bit of clinging to the dry skin between my eyebrows, that little bit of texture there, but this blended out really nice, and I did not use anywhere near all of the product I pumped out. I'm going to take my fingertip and just try to get a little more coverage on my little blood vessel over here that likes to be obnoxious. There is a chipmunk that is running back and forth past my window because I just refilled the bird feeders, and he's super cute and he's so tiny, and chipmunks are like, how do they even survive? Like, they're so little and they're so cute, and I will be so sad the day that my chipmunk doesn't come to say hi. But he lives somewhere on that side of my house. I don't know where exactly, but that's where he comes from and goes to. And he's adorable. Did you guys watch the chipmunks when you were little? Are they still a thing? Do they even exist? This did a really good job of covering up this little zit that I got going on here. That, of course, I picked because I'm not smart. This looks nice, you guys. This coverage is really nice. It's totally buildable. I can barely see it. I see one little sunspot, and I can probably make it go away. I bet I can. All right, all right, all right. Let's zoom in and take a look at this one. This coverage is lovely. I think this is like a natural finish, leaning matte, but it's not flat. There still is a little bit of reflect that you get off the high points of the face. Clings just a tiny bit to the edges of skin that needs to exfoliate away. That's really the case with just about anything. And this finish is the kind of finish that normally would make the edges of dry skin look worse, and I really don't think it's doing that. I think it's tolerating it very nicely. So if you are a fan of a matte finish, this might be the kind of thing that works well for you if you do have some peeling skin every once in a while. I think this looks nice. It looks really nice on my pores. It's not accentuating texture. Right now, it's not settling into lines. We will see if that remains true. My forehead looks fine. Everything looks pretty doggone good, you guys. I don't think I'm going to have to set this with powder. I'm going to give it a couple minutes. It's just the tiniest bit tacky right now. But I have a feeling this is going to set itself down, which that would be even better. I mean, can it get any better? I'm seeing my little things in the monitor and it's making me really happy. You know me and my headbands, you guys. But if I zoom out so that you can see it, then you can't see my face. And oh well, makes me sad. All right, let me go put the rest of my face on. Where is my phone? Oh. Oh. It's 1:07 p.m. I will be right back. So far, so good with the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear. I know people have different ideas of what everyday makeup is, but like, this is my everyday makeup. Like, this level of coverage, this finish, this is what I would look like every day if I had the time to look like this every day. Like, this is it, is right here. Did not have to set this with powder, which is awesome, and I think all of the powder products blended on top of it just fine. I'm wearing the Wet n Wild Incognito Concealer, had absolutely no trouble blending the two together. Everything's going well, and even the flakes that I originally was seeing on my nose, like, they're barely visible. I see some fallout that I missed, but they're really... everything's looking pretty doggone good. This reminds me of how I feel when I apply the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation, which is one of my favorites. This is more matte than that on me. That does not wear matte on me at all. That wears more like a satin, natural kind of finish. But I feel very similar in... I really enjoy that foundation. I have 3 different shades of it. And this my initial impression is very, very similar. It's a different finish, but it's the same kind of feeling. I'm hoping that as the day goes on, it does not make me feel dry, as tends to happen. I dehydrate very easily in terms of my skin, so hopefully we won't have any trouble. We will find out. On the rest of my face, I've got NYX Sweet Cheeks blush as my contour. I had to dig out the Balm Desert. I know you can't get this anymore. It's my all-time favorite, and thank you. A while back, one of you guys sent me some backups when it was on clearance at Kohl's, and I will never run out of it. And it's my favorite tone of bronzer ever, and nothing has ever actually perfectly matched it, and I love it, and it's my favorite. And I was feeling in the mood for my favorites because this was making me feel like I was in the mood for like my favorite face. Yeah. And so then my new favorite blush combo with highlight, Clarins Jolie Blush in Cheeky Baby and Wet n Wild Blossom Glow is my highlight. My eyes, this is a palette I had put together with singles from Adept. If you're not familiar with them, they make my favorite magnetic palettes of all times. So this is just a bunch of their singles that I put together. Their eyeshadow formula is fantastic. I do have a discount code with them down below. They have a pre-order going on right now for a couple of new palettes that they're coming out with this summer, which I really need to get on that and pre-order it while you still can. But check them out if you're not familiar. Their formula, especially for duochrome eyeshadows, is bravo. Mwah, chef's kiss, like, gorgeous. Yeah, mascara is CoverGirl Lash Blast Clean. My eyes, my brows are hair gel. And my lip, I've not worn these in a minute. It's the Outlast All Day from CoverGirl, but they've got this new line of them that they're calling the New Neutrals. And this one is, the one I'm wearing is Dusty Blush. These are the ones that you apply the base coat, give it 60 seconds to dry down, and then throughout the day you top it with the moisturizing balm, which, you know, this is basically any kind of lip balm that you like, you can use as the topper. Oil-based ones will break down the color, but if it's not an oil-based one, you'll be fine. I love these. I have a bunch of these. And so the new neutrals, so there's this shade, which looked like it was going to be a little bit more cool toned than it actually comes across on me, but it's fine. It's beautiful. I also picked up this shade, which looked like it was going to be too peachy for the look that I'm doing right now. But yeah, these are the new neutrals, and they had a whole bunch of colors, and I like this format, and I haven't worn them in a while. So that's what's on my lips. I'm going to go about my day. Gotta do some nails. I'm naked, you guys. Gotta get... Problem is, it's so hard to decide what I want to do next. And I was picking at this hand. I pick my nails. It's terrible. It's a horrible habit. I do it when I'm stressed out. And so this hand is in bad shape. This hand, that's my nail-fee hand. I haven't picked. It's doing all right. But I hate to waste like a gorgeous, like mixed mani artistic idea when one of my hands looks like blah. Don't pick your nails, guys. It's bad. It'll make you very sad. It makes me so sad. I did it to myself. This hand looks nice, though. So I don't know what I'm going to do. That's my day. I got to run to the post office. That's about it. I'm going to have a nice... I'm filming this on the weekend, and I rarely take weekends off. But I think I'm going to take this weekend off. I'm just going to enjoy the weekends. That's my plan. I'll come back in a bit with a daylight check-in, and then I will come back tonight and give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, it's been about 3.5 hours now, and I'm standing in the shade, but I will step into the sun in a moment. I was wearing a mask for about maybe 20-30 minutes. I just took sunglasses off, so you see the indentations in my eyes, my nose, but it doesn't look like there's much product missing. I was standing outside for a while, so I'm a little bit chilly. My face is a little flushed. But, yeah, here we are. There's shade, color match. I think everything still looks like it's holding up just fine. Let me step into some sunlight. Whoa. There's how it looks in the sun. Color match. It's probably easier to tell in the shade. So that is where we are at. So far so good, I would say. I'll be back tonight and we'll see how it goes. 12:05 a.m. Let's take a look at how the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear held up. First off, I stopped by CVS today, and this is not the lightest shade. There are actually 2 shades lighter, so they've got 800 and 805, I believe they were. This is 810 and 820 that I've got. So there are lighter shades, which is good because I think that the 820 shade is actually a really good match for me. So the fact that you've got 3 shades lighter to choose from is good because I am not the fairest of the fair. I'm just like middle range fair. So that was good news, I thought. Let's talk comfort wear. It's really comfortable. You get a ton of coverage for a very lightweight feeling foundation. I like that. I like that a lot. In terms of dry skin, I'm not going to go so far as to say I feel like this is a hydrating formula, but for a matte finish, I feel like my skin is not dry at this point in the evening, and we're 11 hours in. That's pretty good considering it's still wintertime here. I'm pretending it's spring, but it's not. I also never got around to doing my nails because I got crazy busy. So dry skin, I think you're fine. Let's take a zoom in and check this one out up close. So honestly, at a conversational distance, this I think still looks really, really good. I don't think you can see the product breaking down at a conversational distance. If you get up in the 10x, it is a little bit more obvious, but it's really just kind of the fact that at this point in the night you can see product in some spots on kind of on top of the skin, but it's not really doing, and it's not moving around, it's not settling into lines. Even my deepest chin lines don't really have product settled into them. Blush bronzer highlight is still practically brand new looking. My pores still look smooth. There's no issues with texture. My nose is a little bit of a hot mess, and I'm gonna say I think the way the wear looks on my nose, I think it is probably due to wearing the mask, because that's kind of, I have the KN95 masks that have the metal clip in the nose, and on the bridge of my nose is where I clip it. So it looks like that's where that has worn off, but forehead still looks good. Like, honestly, the fact that it's a little bit more dewy than it was when we started, I would have called it matte in the beginning, like a satin matte, and I would say now it's, reminds me again a lot of the True Blend Matte Made, because it wears a lot more satin-like on me. Like, there is some more reflect now than there was earlier. I'm not an oily skinned kind of person in any way, shape, or form. I really don't produce oil, so anytime you get any kind of sheen coming off of a foundation, it is usually the ingredients in that product causing that. So it is probably breaking down a little bit. I'm just looking at my forehead. I have no highlight on my forehead, so that is all product happening. I personally like it. I think it looks nice. I think it's a good amount. It's not like sweaty, dewy. I'm curious. I'm gonna do my little 2-finger test and like touch my forehead and see if I can see where my fingerprints were. Can you see them? I can't really see them. So I don't think it's really oil. Maybe a tiny bit I can see them. I don't see anything on my fingers. So it doesn't want to focus. I don't really feel anything on my fingers, so I think it's just kind of the way the product ends up over time. You guys, I'm pretty happy with this one, I gotta say. Also, for note, the lip, this is, you know, the long wear, what the heck is it? Outlast All Day. I should just know, it's the same name as the foundation. This is what the lip looks like after 2 full meals, including a somewhat greasy one, a bunch of snacks, and very many Diet Dr. Peppers. This is what you have left at the end of 11 hours, and it holds up pretty good. The center is, of course, missing, but I really like these. I was at CVS today, and I think I bought another one. I bought one that would have gone better with this eye look. I'm like, did I buy one? Yeah, I think I did. I think I did. All right, if I had to give a grade to the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear 3-in-1 foundation, I don't think it would last 24 hours because we're about halfway through, and I'd say it's starting to show signs of wear. However, I really like it. I'm gonna give it an A. I really like it. It's a nice finish. It works for dry skin. Anytime I can get in the ballpark of a matte finish on my dry skin, especially in the wintertime, it's probably going to wear even better on me come summertime. Nothing feels dry. It's not uncomfortable. It was easy to apply. It's vegan. It's cruelty-free. I don't know if it's vegan. I'd have to double check that. It's definitely cruelty-free. It's got a little bit of sunscreen in there. I love me some sunscreen. Always wear full sunscreen underneath your makeup. You are never going to apply enough makeup to give yourself the fully stated SPF that's on the label. But I still like having more sunscreen. Yeah, A. Yeah, it's an A. I like it. I like it a whole lot. I love CoverGirl. Their complexion products really work well for me, and I'm just a CoverGirl fan. Kind of a fangirl the last couple years. Ever since they went cruelty-free, they have just blown me away. What can I say? I can say they get an A. I'm a poet, didn't know it. All right, that's all I got, you guys. Yeah, I should go to bed now. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.